is massive. Wicked, original. Money, one of them must be them like a windmill.
Mate, this car is sick. Just remember it's French. Nessie, what have you done? Broke it. It's hot.
We're here to test the astonishing acceleration of the new Renault 5 GT Turbo. And there we have it, the Renault 5 GT Turbo. What's yours called?
Good morning, you absolute lovelies. Welcome back to the first ever episode of 2021. Hope you guys had a wicked new year. Alas, I am driving my latest purchase, a Renault 5 GT Turbo.
Wicked, jungle is massive. Wicked, original. Money, one of them must be them like a windmill. New town, fit them not to the must be. Dance girl, nice and less sweet. As the girls here with voices that their dreams get fulfilled. Booyaka, booyaka, when the general pass. Booyaka, booyaka, everything on the dance. Booyaka, booyaka, when the general pass. Booyaka, booyaka. Incredible.
This is actually the later revision. It's a phase 2, and a lot of you guys will probably remember these cars, which were pretty much made famous in the old Ali G movies.
Ali in the countryside, Ali in the countryside, Ali in the countryside, Ali in the countryside.
Wicked. These cars are now extremely rare. They used to go for literally nothing online, but now you'll struggle to pick up a really ropey one for about 10 grand. There's even one on there now, really mint, low mileage, about 60,000 miles, going for £25,000. Just kind of gives you an idea really on how scarce and how rare these cars now are. John action. This one's done 140,000 miles, but it was actually restored about 3 years ago. The guy redid all the sills, he repainted all the bodywork and fixed any gremlins. Yeah, the bodywork is exceptionally clean for the age of the car. A lot of these cars were really bitten by the max power bug, obviously harking back to the Ali G days. A lot of these cars were modified in pretty interesting ways, some of them tasteful and some of them not so tasteful. Luckily this one is pretty much standard. It's had a few cheeky engine mods done. It's running a set of comp-motive wheels and it's sitting a little bit lower, but apart from that it is relatively speaking still quite standard. A lot of these cars like this really started off as kind of sort of quintessential very basic hatchbacks, hence we had the dawn of the Golf GTI, the 205 GTI and things like the Renault 5 GT Turbo. What makes this one extremely unique is it's got a carburettor and a turbo. So yeah, carburetors on their own are seen as pretty reliable. It's quite an old school process now. It's not like modern day fuel injection where you have an ECU actually controlling the fuel. This is literally a mechanical process, so in some ways it can be seen as a little bit crude, but it does certainly get the job done. When you then add into the mix a turbo.
5 minutes later.
Oh my god, the French car is biting me already. That's the first mini breakdown in the French car. We've got Miss Nessie Norms behind us in the Golf. Yeah! I'm going to look to try and buy a parcel shelf as well because the parcel shelf is missing. I did have a look online. Like I said, the parts for these cars are so hard to get now that people do charge kind of crazy money. There's a nice parcel shelf on eBay right now for 150 quid. Which is only 3 times cheaper than my Volvo, so it kind of gives you an idea on how expensive bits can be for these. Mate, this car is sick! I will be doing a raffle eventually on this car once I've got the GT Turbo thing out of my system. Just bear in mind, if you do win this car, you've got to treat it like your nan. It literally is like a sort of precious grandma. You've really got to treat it with respect. At present, she does run really well. She pulls lovely on boost. The gearbox, the clutch are all absolutely mint. It is quite a fucker to get it started, I will admit. I do have to put the battery pack on it sometimes and really try and pump the throttle. Obviously, you've got things like a choke, which are a little bit different than a conventional car. So hopefully any of you guys in the comment section can give me some tips on how to get her running a little bit better. Yeah, feel free to put any comments down below. I had a little chat with the guys on the owners club yesterday, and they kind of said if you do own one of these, you've got to be part enthusiast, part mechanic. You can't be afraid to kind of get the spanners out, because they do need a little bit of fettling every now and again. Oh, she is pretty rapid though for a little car. One thing you don't want to do is have a crash in this thing, because it is quite literally made of tin. Suspension on these things is proper crazy, man. They really sort of bounce about. I haven't really looked at the rear. I'm not sure. These might have a torsion bar like the old sort of 205 GTIs, a fixed rear axle. But yeah, because it's been lowered a little bit, it does make it kind of bounce about, but it does look sick, not gonna lie. Once you actually get a full tank of fuel in the back and a bit of weight over the rear axle, the car's actually a lot more stable. Obviously things like fuel and weight really do affect cars like this. Right, Nessie Noms and I have just about made it to the farm, so in a little second we'll jump out and show you what this beast is all about. And by magic, one beautiful looking Renault 5 GT Turbo. She's a little bit dirty, so we're going to give it a clean before we give you a proper look round. But that should give you an idea on the car. As you guys can see, she is proper clean for an old GT. And by magic, Nessie Norms, German whip, driving a German whip. As you guys can see as well, we have this really cool Mark II GTI 4-door. It's actually an 8-valve as well. We're going to be doing a separate episode on this car, because this is also absolutely sick. She has a pretty sizable rear exhaust, which is probably quite in keeping with the car, but it does sort of knock around and make a few noises, so I will look to get a slightly more subtle exhaust for the back. Turbo systems. I've also got this little piece here which I need to work out and try and fit that on there. I think that sort of sits in there like that. We'll work that out in due course. Compomotive wheels really suit this car, especially in white as well, which matches the paintwork. What's also quite rare about this GT Turbo is it's a non-sunroof model. A lot of them had sunroofs, which obviously increases the flex a little bit, and I think they probably used to leak a little bit. Ness and I are quickly going to clean it, as we mentioned, just to make it look all nice inside, because all the interior's all been replaced.
1 hour later.
Way! It's a good start, Nessie Norbs.
5 minutes later.
There we go, one Renault 5 GT Turbo looking much cleaner. Ignore the little piece that's missing there, we will get that sorted. It's in the car. She looks absolutely green. Check that out, man. 1990, so 30 years old this car, and it's in fantastic condition, it really is. She looks pretty cool in that, not gonna lie. 10 out of 10 would bang. How's carburetor turbo life?
This car has character.
That is one way of putting it, Ness. They're not famous for their build quality, but they are famous for building cars with massive amounts of charm. Well, they used to. I'm not so sure on the modern day ones. Actually, I don't mind the sort of Cléos and stuff, but yeah, this is definitely a classic old school Renault. Nessie Noms, out of 10 so far?
Yeah, I think 12 when it starts.
12 out of 10 when it starts, 10 out of 10 when it doesn't start.
Yeah.
Pretty unique these as well, because you open the bonnet the opposite way, which Nessie's just forgotten. There we go. Woo! So there we have one little 1.4 Renault 5 GT Turbo engine. Obviously, like I said before, carburettor and a turbo, which is interesting to say the least. Some of you older guys in the audience will recognise the GT tuning heat shield. They're quite a sort of old school company that used to do a lot of tuning on these things. I'm not sure if they're still about, but I'm sure you guys can tell me in the comment section. We've got what looks to be an aftermarket filter down there, various different sort of Samco hoses. I thought this might have been a Bailey's dump valve, but it does have a different name on it, but it does pretty much sound like a Bailey's. Sounds like it's sneezing every time you change gear. As I was saying, you've got lots of heat wrap down there, and yeah, that's actually your carburettor there. I believe that's the cable for the choke, and that's your actual throttle cable down there. Quite nice as well. It's got the original oil cap. You can see Elf, that's like a French oil brand. It looks to have some sort of aftermarket aluminium radiator, and it's also got like the original sort of Renault French logos from factory, which is pretty cool to see. Nessie, what have you done? Broke it. It should just click back in, to be fair. Oh, there we go, fixed. Rest of the engine is pretty much stock. I know it's running an uprated fuel pump, and these came out the factory with about 118 horsepower, I believe, the phase 2. So yeah, this is probably running about 115, 120 thereabouts. It does feel pretty nippy when you're out on the road. If we look up the front, you'll see it's super clean. It's actually had a set of brand new headlights fitted. All the fog lights down below are nice and mint as well. The previous chap also replaced the entire windscreen surround. It's got a brand new windscreen, and like I mentioned before in the car, all of the sills underneath have all been replaced. Next week when Scousy's back, we'll get the car up on a ramp, and so you guys can kind of see how clean it is underneath. It's also had new seats and new interior. As you guys can see, the seats are absolutely fantastic condition, and all the bolsters have been replaced as well. Quite mad this, you can tell it's French because the seat kind of lifts up and goes forwards rather than slides forwards, but definitely interesting quirks, to say the least. Quick little look at the rear interior, again really nice condition. I'm not sure if the carpet's been replaced. I mean, there's a few marks on it, bearing in mind it's 30 years old and it's red, it's going to show a few marks. I have actually looked on eBay. You can get a set of velour mats for about sort of 40-50 quid. So I might invest in a new set of mats just to tidy up the carpet a little bit. Check out these lines, man. This just screams 1980s, doesn't it?
It's more retro style.
Retro, yeah, this is extremely retro. It is actually missing the stereo. I might see if we can get like a cheeky little CD player in there at some point. Press the buttons though, man, check this out. Oh, I feel that, very French. And just in case you forget, it's a, what is it, Ness?
It's a fast car.
It is a very fast car. That was actually a magazine back in the day.
Ah, okay.
It was kind of like Max Power, Fast Car. They were like the two big magazines. Luckily, this car wasn't susceptible to too much fast car modifying. Because yeah, back in the Ali G days, these started to get pretty wild. Steering wheel, Ness, original?
Definitely not.
No, aftermarket. And a little bit scruffy. It could probably do with a nicer wheel at some point. It's also got a digital clock down here, which was probably some high-tech shit back in the day.
To this time.
Yeah, this was cool. Heater controls all down here. That's for your temperature. That's to change your fan positioning. The heater in this is pretty noisy. It's quite a common problem on these. The fans do get pretty loud. I have sort of read on the forums you can kind of take the heater box out and kind of lube the bearings on the fan. So I might try that at some point and see if we can get it to be a little bit quieter. Door cards are all in pretty nice condition. There is a little bit of sort of cloth peeling back there.
But it's an old lady.
Yeah, she is an old lady. That is the best way. It's like an old granny and you've got to treat it with care.
Yeah.
So minimum John action. Basically, don't let me drive this car for much longer because I will kill it, let's be honest. Show you guys in the boot. Like I mentioned, the parcel shelf is missing, but I will try and buy one if I can get one for sensible money. Exhaust is actually a Scorpion number if you look down there. She's also got a lovely bit of chicken mesh going on in the rear bumper. That could probably do with tidying up at some point, or maybe repainting just to make it look a little bit smarter. Tyres are brand new Toy Proxies all the way around. We'll just check what size they are, 195, 45, 15. All of the brake calipers have also been refurbished and rebuilt and painted as well. If we look all the way around the car, the wheels are all in lovely condition. They've all just been recently refurbished. There's a little bit of missing paint here on the rear plastic trim, but you can kind of remove that and get that painted at a later date. It's not particularly drastic. On the whole though, I think you guys can see this is a pretty nice gem. Something to remark as well is really how small this car is. If I kind of step back here, you guys can get a better perspective. Door's a little bit sticky as well. See, I'll show you again my knack. Yes, that's it. Maybe you've got a technique for closing the doors on a Renault 5, feel free to let us know. It's one thing you notice in these little cars, there isn't a massive amount of space. And we're both quite tall.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to cram yourself in, I'll give you that. That's the gimbal, my darling. You hold on to that. Yeah. Starting to understand the charms of the old GT Turbo. And the lights are pretty mad in these as well. You literally flick the switch round like 360.
And also the horn is funny, no?
And then yeah, press it, go on.
It is funny.
It's like a little noddy car, isn't it? But these are proper cool. It is starting to rain, so I mean the power's not massive. Got to be a little bit careful. You feel safe?
I feel safe, I have a seatbelt on.
I don't think that'll do much in this tin cap. Oh, that dump valve sounds very 1990s. It does drive pretty nice. On boost, it's perfect, isn't it? Sometimes when it idles a little bit funny, and you've got to think it doesn't really take much to make it move fast because it weighs as much as a fucking J-cloth. We'll do a little 0 to 60 test. I'm not actually sure when they first started making a GT Turbo, because I know there was a phase 1 before this. So I'm guessing kind of maybe late 70s or early 80s. If we've got any GT Turbo boffins in the audience, feel free to let us know in the comment section. It's always good to kind of learn about these little cars. This is very cool, man. John mustn't drive like that, it's very naughty. We have literally come out in a hailstorm. I thought the car might look pretty cool in the hail, although I am getting extremely wet. Probably not the ideal weather for a GT Turbo, but 10 out of 10 for effort. Mate, we come out in like an ice storm. It is pretty cold. 10 out of 10. Get a thousand Nessie Dons for doing some filming. Fair play to you. To be fair though, even though we're in like 0 degrees, the car is still running really well.
Yeah.
So fair play to the old Frenchie. And it's like, it's typical, innit? We spend ages cleaning it, making it beautiful, and then come out and we're in a fucking, is this snow or hail?
No, it's hail.
It's hail. I hope it doesn't turn into snow, because these Proxy T1R summer tyres won't be amazing.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Summer tires.
Yeah, man. Crazy fucking hail, innit? Alright, we are now going back down the hill. We thought it was probably wise to go down rather than get higher up. Nessie and I are now losing light, so we're probably going to wrap the video up. Hopefully you've enjoyed this first cheeky little instalment of the Renault 5 GT Turbo. Very sick. We're going to be getting the car on a ramp next week so we can show you guys what she's like underneath, and also addressing things like the back box and fixing that little bit of plastic trim as well. So hopefully you guys are going to tune in to watch some of that. If you've enjoyed this little video, make sure you give it a like, put any comments down below. We'll do our best to get back to you, and Ness and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon.